So we are on the ferry. There's the Kraken wagon. Hello car enthusiast VW nutters. Welcome to this build 1956 Beetle. For all the people that are new, welcome to D-Mop Garage, and we are going to be building this thing up to a shiny Beetle for my wife Larsie. Now we are up to a few bits and pieces. We still don't have the heater channels welded in yet, and the only reason I haven't welded them in yet is I'm a slack ass, and no, not really. I'm just trying to make sure all the measurements are correct with the door gaps and everything else. So we're getting close. I have added a bit more copper spray because those sections are going to be obviously covered up, and we do need to put some primer on them. I'll probably put some polyurethane on them as well. But what I've just been doing is just making sure all the sections down near the Napoleon hat down there are perfect, which they are. Also, I need to probably start repairing these back sections, and it's just easier having the bug body up in the air because I can get to it. I don't have to climb in here and hurt myself a lot. So I think what we might do now is get these sections down here repaired, and obviously the dirty great big holes in the corners. So we might just get this up in the air and start cutting and fabricating those little bits and pieces. It'll be one more step that needs to be done. There is some more rusty bits and pieces in here as well. As you can see, all around down in here are all gone on both sides. Down there you can see it. That back corner needs to be repaired as well. Yeah, look, there's still some work, but I just figured probably easier to do most of this while the body is up in the air at a better height, and I'm not busting my back trying to get in there. So yeah, we've still got this front section here to get done. That's all smashed in pretty good and proper. And I did also remove the heater pipes out of here on both sides because they need to be sandblasted and cleaned up. And also I needed to get in there and get that hinge plate all Mickey Mouse, which is our term for nice. Yeah, a few little bits and pieces we're getting done. Let's continue. I also repaired this in the last video, which was that janky, shonky wonky little seam there for the door. So that's pretty much done. I've just got a little flap here to put in, and also yeah, we've got some rust up in here that we've got to sort out. And on the top of the, yeah, there's plenty of work. There is plenty of work. Without further ado, let's get into this thing and get some stuff done. So we're going to now tackle these back sections up in there and here, because they're all rotten, and I figured, hey, let's get them done. Move this pan out just so I can work, you know, reasonably straight up and down. Let's do it. Now, I suppose the first part we're going to tackle is, well, you can see here you've got your existing little lippy. So we might just sort of come across here. I don't really want to upset this part too much. But if we go across like that, then we can just replace that bottom section, because I think that's still pretty good. Yeah, let's do that, I reckon. With a repair like this, you can easily freak out and go and hijack a bus full of penguins because you've got all these complex angles and you don't know where to start. The easiest way is just do a little bit first, get it out of the way, and then move on to the next bit. You know, you can, instead of trying to do this all in one go, you can just do the first section first or that section first and then just join them all together. I mean, it's bloody metal. It's not rocket science, eh? Don't overthink it. I'm just going to cut that piece out and make it on the bench and weld it back in. Okay, so what I've started with is just a piece of metal which I've banged into a 90 degree, and I'm going to tuck it in underneath here and just trying to get the right shape to sort of start with. I don't really know what this looks like here. I've tried looking had some pics on the internet. I think it just comes down and goes slightly below the pipe. But anyway, I'm going to leave a bit of material here to play with. But the idea is we'll obviously lock this off, but I'm just going to trim this to make that little lip. Bring the lip all the way to here, and then we'll have to work out this little section here on what we've got here. So I'll go and trim this bottom section off and we'll keep going.
A few moments later.
Ta-da! That's what I've come up with. It's not really the best so far, but it is going to slot in just like that. This part here we still have to play around with, but you'll get the idea of this has to be trimmed and just slightly bent to get that shape there. But I'll show you why this is going to work if we bring it over to here, because this is obviously where it's going to be living. If we place that like that, you can see that's kind of where it's going to be, somewhere like that. Anyway, so yeah, this little piece here is just going to have to be fandangled against that part and get welded down. Obviously I don't have a picture of what that looks like, so I'm hoping that that's about right. I think it is. And then we'll just have to make a little door for this section at the end here. So yeah, a little bit of fandangling, a bit of bending and whatnot. You know, you get the gist of it. All right, keep going. Now, after a myriad of chopping and grinding and scratching my head, this is what we've come up with. As you can see here, it slots in just like that. Something like that. And we've just got to, it looks weird, but it does work. So let's get a bit of some butt clamps on it and go from there. Okay, we're going to get the welder. Let's get this thing done. Okay, I think that's going to do for now. The rest of it we're going to have to fine tune it once it's down on the heater channels, and then we can manipulate this and also add this section that fills this little hole here in. But I think for now that is good to go. All right, we'll move on. Okay, so I've put the body back onto the pan. And as you can see here, I've just gone and shoved a few bits and pieces in here just to make sure everything was lining up with that patch panel that I put in, and it's all good. And that now means that we've got something else to go and have a look at. We're on the way to the other side of the coast, taking a ferry, and we're picking up a new project. You guys are going to see what this thing is very shortly. Let's go. All right, boys and girls, well, this is what we're picking up, and Shane over here is, he's got the rig. This is the rig to pick it up. This is what you need. Seaside towing on the Mornington Peninsula, put it on this thing, it's safe and sound. So we're going to load her up. I'm going to let you guys sit here and we're going to go for it. Alright guys, so we're going off on the ferry, back over to the other side. We'll see you on the other side. Alright, so we are on the ferry. There's the Kraken wagon. And I'm getting on. Well, next stop is going to be Demop Garage headquarters. Let's get there. Okay, so after we have winched it down into the home, the Kraken wagon is in the Demop garage. Yeah, this is going to be our new project. So she's a 1952 barn door ambulance from the factory. Yeah, she's an absolute beauty. Obviously, the paint job has been done. I didn't do it. I think it's probably been done about 6-7 years ago looking at it. It is quite good. There's a few little imperfections we've got to fix, just to get it up to my standard, of course. But we do have pretty much all the parts. There's a few bits and pieces missing. Yeah, we can go through a list of what parts I need to get for it. But basically, the 2 stretchers that are in the back, I have to get those, and they... I think same part numbers as the later bay window ambulances, so hopefully not too hard to get those. But all the glass I've got the original 25 horsepower motor block, plus another motor which is in there, a complete motor. That one needs a top pulley and also a distributor cap and the top of the fuel pump and a manifold. Now, maybe someone might be able to tell me whether the manifold is the same as the 36 horsepower. I don't know, but that is a part that I'm going to have to get. It does have the 16-inch barn door rims. I've got those. I mean, look how cool this is. This is the original number plates from Portugal. Crank handles, heater boxes, original exhaust. Obviously the seats that go in the back. Now they will need recovering. They are pretty rough. I think the front seat is repairable, and we're going to try to save it because, you know, yeah, it's got a little bit of stitching here that could potentially, we can get that sewn up, but the rest of the seat's actually in really good nick. You can see gauge pod, everything's complete there. Obviously this just needs a bit of a clean up inside. Obviously repaint the floor, whatever little bit of surface rust is in there we'll get rid of. New door cards. Headliner unfortunately has been taken out. You can see here it was a perforated headliner just for this front section, so we will get that redone. Unfortunately the headlining inside has been torn just here where this scoop goes, so I don't know. I'm going to have to talk to my trimmer and see what he can do, whether he can save this headlining and repair it, I don't know, or we have to put a brand new one in. Would be cool to keep this because it's a smooth vinyl, which is very interesting. Let's just have a look at it from the back. We can open up. Now, obviously, with barn door ambulances, the 51s opened this way, and they obviously worked out after 51 that it's better to have the doors open down, like so. And then, of course, you can get your stretchers straight in. So we've got a parcel shelf, which actually hangs up off the roof up there. All your medical supplies would go in that. You can see all the remnants of the old door cards. So that'll be good for me to use them as templates to remake these cards for inside here. And that part is very cool. I'll put the door back up. Engine bay, you know, it's been painted in here, but, you know, look, again, I'd like it to be a little bit nicer than that. Gearbox is leaking, so that's going to have to come out and we'll refurbish that, go over it. Obviously the brakes will need looking at. We're going to get new tyres. I have to get some keys. I've actually just picked this lock here just so we could get it to open. There we go. So that opens, and again that is a factory flap, I suppose, for the fuel tank. Now the fuel tank, to access it, you've got to go in through the top in here. So I'll get all that cleaned out. We can have a look inside here. You can see inside here, you know, the floor's a little bit rough. We can clean this up and just give it a lick of paint. Obviously all the door cards in here. I'll get that motor out and we can actually rip this apart and transfer all these parts over to the original block, because obviously we want to have that in the vehicle when it's finished. So yeah, very, very, very exciting times. This is the only barn door ambulance in Australia, so pretty rare. Obviously a lot of the parts are in really good condition. We have the original light that goes up here in this hole, and I can show you that over here. So we have all the parts. That is the original globe right there, a glass, obviously. We also have a siren or light for the top of it as well. So I don't know if these were on a 52 or not. I have to do a little bit more research, but there is holes up on the roof for it. Obviously we've got the siren, we've got the original little exhaust tip, which is apparently a NOS one, which a little bit of surface rust, but we can fix that up. The ribbed semaphores, and they are very, very hard to get, as you would imagine. All the factory glass, and we've also got the air scoop for the top and the internal air scoop. We've got the original mirror, rear vision mirror. So yeah, we've got pretty much a lot of the parts. A lot of the seals are in here, all brand new stuff for the doors and windows. And I do have quite a bit of the paint as well. So if we have to do any touching up, we can do that too. You've got, yeah, cool little step, which works perfectly. Again, we'll just give that a revamp, clean that up, and make it look good. Now, the bad parts about it, I mean, obviously, you know, interior-wise, there'll be a lot of work in there. Underneath's got a little bit of surface rust. We'll get it up on the hoist so I can show you guys. But, yeah, really, no structural rust. All the outriggers and all the chassis is actually completely sound, but it's just got a little bit of surface rust. So I'll clean it up, spray it the factory grey, which is what it would have come out from the factory, to bring that back to spec. Not sure about the hubcaps. I do have original hubcaps here that were on it, but they're not chrome, and I don't know whether they were chrome or whether they were grey, so I've got to do a little bit more research for that as well. Also, you know, even with these factory glass, how they had this etched look on them to stop you looking in at the patient, I would imagine. I do have all the glass too, which is fantastic. And also some photos of, if we just open this door up, you can see what I mean about, this is the part that we've got to just try and get repaired. And the rest of it's actually in really good nick. But we have some photos of what this thing looked like in Portugal. So you can see there, all the original photos. You can see the seats, how they were mounted inside. There's some really cool shots. That's one with the external vent, or internal vent I should say. Yeah, there's some really cool ones. I think there's a couple here. Yeah, you can see this one here. That's pretty cool. So you can see it did have the light, the flashing light up on top of it. I just don't know whether they were factory issued or not, but we might just run it anyway. I think it'd be cool. There you go. So I think this thing was brought into the country. Oh, you can see here, it actually had Commando written on the front of it, which is pretty cool. That obviously was at a swap meet of some description back then. But I think this thing got imported probably 20 years ago, 25, something like that. So it's been in Melbourne and changed hands a couple of times before I've got it. So, you know, you can see here, it did have some sign writing on the side of it as well. But, you know, good just to have a little bit of history of what it was, you know, in the other country. So yeah, obviously left-hand drive, and that'll keep all the Americans happy, won't it? Being they're not looking at steering wheels on the other side. Yeah, so very exciting stuff. So we're going to put together a bit of a plan for this thing. I'm not sure what I'm going to start with first. I'm thinking I'll probably get it up on the hoist, take the gearbox, front beam out, and then get the underneath of it all good, like sprayed up, and get that finished, and then we can just start mechanical. Maybe we'll start working on the motor. I'll get Oven Boy involved, and we can start putting this little 25 horser together, and then go from there. So yeah, a little bit of a bit of a segue away from the Beetle, and you know, that's okay. That still will get done, but you know, we're going to just focus on this for now. And we'll have some updates for you guys coming soon. So yeah, stay tuned for more updates on this. Subscribe if you haven't, because then you'll obviously get to see what's going to happen with this thing, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, we'll catch you in the next episode.